Welcome to Recipe Club, where we debate the best way to cook the food you want to eat. My name is Chris Ying. Here in the clubhouse with me today are three rowdy sports fans hanging out in the back of a truck, pounding beers, chugging bean dip before they head in for the game. First, a man who likes sports and Indian cuisine so much, he built a palace to honor them both simultaneously. The owner and operator of Pijja Palace here in Los Angeles, Avish Naran. What price would you find to be reasonable to pay for a small hot dog and a small beer at a baseball game?
At a baseball game? Mm-hmm. Ooh, I'd stretch the limit a little bit. If you're in the stadium, maybe
you're in the stadium. What's reasonable? You're like tiny hot dog, small beer. I'm okay with that.
Both of them together.
Both together.
Man, maybe like 30. I know it's going to be like $34.
And you're chill with that.
I know that's what it's going to be.
So you're just like, you accept the $34 of it all.
Absolutely.
Okay. I have in front of me here the averages for all of the stadiums around America.
Okay.
The highest average, I think we're talking about the smallest hot dog and the smallest beer you can get. The highest price on average is at the Washington Nationals Stadium. It's $23. Wow. So you're ready to go.
Yeah, ready to go.
Whatever.
They can
baseball teams out there, invite this guy in. He's willing to pay anything. Second, returning to the club, Dinner Time Live producer Becky Joiner. Becky, your beloved Ravens are in the Super Bowl.
Don't laugh.
I'm not laughing.
Lamar Jackson has just gone down in the fourth quarter, however. Are you stress eating or are you incapable of ingesting anything?
Oh, I'm stress eating. I'm literally any food that's around me, gone. I'm chugging bean dip. When you said chugging bean dip before, I was like, no one does that. I would do that.
And finally, podcaster, author, racket sports enthusiast, Darin Bresnitz, for a non-competition bonus point.
Sure.
Take a stab at the largest parking lot in North America.
Mall of America?
The largest single roof parking lot in America is SeaTac Airport in Seattle, which can hold 13,000 cars. The largest parking structure overall, Disneyland. 25,000 cars at once, people.
Shout out to the House of Mouse.
Shout out to Mickey. As you can see, we have three top-tier athlete watchers in the club today. I've brought them here to debate the best way to cook a portable, shareable dish that you can serve in a parking lot at your next tailgate. Each of them has prepared a publicly available tailgate recipe and brought the results into the studio today. Everybody's had a chance to taste one another's food, sample the goods, issue some scores. The game will begin right after this quick break. All right, let's set the table a little bit here. I'm gonna start us off with a little history lesson, a little history on the tailgate. My producers have provided me with some historical facts about tailgates from the Oxford American Companion to American Food and Drink, which says tailgate picnics became popular in the United Kingdom around 1919 as a result of the rise of woodies. Wood-paneled cars and small trucks designed and manufactured to conserve steel. Many of the earliest woodies came equipped with a small trailer. Tailgates became more popular as gas stoves and portable things like that started proliferating, meaning you could make things like sausage and peppers and chili and spare ribs and sauerbraten. So I'm going to start by asking this. I'm going to ask our expert on the panel here, Avish, why do you think sports and the watching of sports makes us hungry?
That's a good question. I don't know. Dude, I don't know. I think it just, it's something to do while, there's a lot of idle time when you're watching sports. I think, A, it gives you something to do. They're usually like drawn out experiences. So, a lot of time goes by before the start and the end of a game. Maybe you want a little something to eat. Bam.
I think that's right. I think there's a lot of downtime to just sort of kill as you're doing this thing and like avoid talking to your friends about anything of substance. It's just like stats and beer. There's also a thing to me of, boy, these athletes are working hard. I'm really working for that. I'm over here watching them do this thing. Darin,
Yes.
why do we tailgate?
Well, there's always a moment of hope before a game and coming together in that way to be with friends who share the same joys and food and sports. It's great because you can talk about what happened last week, what's happening tonight, who's playing, your theories, and it's all before the first pitch, ball jump, puck is dropped, because then the real emotions really kick in. And sometimes you don't want to eat. Sometimes you're just absolutely defeated. Or sometimes you're super elated. But that moment of food and coming together and celebrating it's fantastic.
Becky, what is the less spiritual, more economical reason why we tailgate?
Well, I was thinking it's because, at least on the East Coast, 'cause that's where I grew up, like games would happen, like middle of the day or at night. So it kind of collides with meal times. So it's like, all right, well, we're going to be here when we'd normally be eating. Why not make it fun and bring a bunch of food out? But that's where I'm like, living out here now, it's weird. Because I'm like, I don't want to tailgate before a 10 a.m. game unless it's breakfast food. So I'm like, I don't really want to chow down on a sloppy Joe at 8 a.m. But that's just me.
I think we tailgate for the reason that Avish sort of pointed out.
35. I knew you were going to come. I was like,
That's why you asked him first. He's the
won the
expert.
stadium, yeah.
Why do we tailgate?
Because you don't want to pay the prices inside of the stadium.
Thank you, because it is $35 for a hot dog and a beer in there, and you gotta fill up, and you gotta get your buzz on a little bit before you get in there. So to that point, what do we think makes a good tailgate dish? So this is ostensibly something that we're not talking about backyard watching the game. We're not talking about you're cooking at home for friends at the game. We're literally talking about I'm at the game, I'm pre-gaming, I'm outside, I'm ostensibly in a parking lot. At most, I've brought my, I'm not talking about the people who are sort of like trucking in their big smoker,
Sure.
right? We're not SEC tailgate professionals. That's a whole different ball game. We're talking about, at most, I'm plugging something into the car, or I've brought a little grill, I've got coolers. What makes a good recipe for a tailgate?
I think you need to be able to hold it with a singular hand.
I like this a lot. Hold it with one hand, standing up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
There's limited seating. You're not necessarily going to get a perch on the tailgate. You're not going to necessarily have a place to put your plate. Standing up. I like this a lot. I think that whatever it is should be portable in that it's done and you can insulate it and bring it to the stadium.
Yes.
Or, like I said, it's something that you could actually plug in and cook at the stadium realistically, easily, simply. I'm looking across the recipe choices we have here, which we'll get to later. Do you guys think a tailgate dish has to be meaty?
No. I mean, takes all kinds for people who like sports. I will say that all of these do have either some sort of sauce or mayo-based component to it, but there has to be a level of non-messiness and still have that sort of liquidity grease of when you're eating it, so it goes down smooth. But you got to find, this isn't like sitting down, barbecue sauce everywhere, chili everywhere, remoulade everywhere. It's you got to find that standing balance of moistness.
What about, Becky, what about regionality? Do you need to tailgate with a recipe that is somehow associated with your team?
I mean, you don't have to. I do think it's nice. And I also like the idea of something that has a legacy behind it and then also could be customizable because to your point, it's like not everyone likes mayo. Not everyone likes certain things in a sandwich. So, having those components available but not necessarily forcing it, I think that's nice.
Before we move into recipe reports, I want to just get a quick little straw poll here and establish some tailgate credibility. Avish, I know you literally run probably Los Angeles' most popular sports bar at the moment, but what is your tailgate experience?
I mean, you know what? I don't. In Los Angeles specifically, it's been mostly sports bars. I've obviously tailgated a couple of times, but it's not like, again, we're not down in the South. It's not like, yo.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm happy to be here still.
Becky, Avish was quick to point out that he has tailgated. He's tailgated totally. We've all. I mean, I've tailgated all the time. What about you?
I have never tailgated before, but
For religious reasons or
No, well, for honestly stupid reasons, because I barely went to like professional like sports events when I was like growing up. We mostly just went to like, our high school games, whatever. No one tailgated for those because we weren't cool. And then when I went to college, I was like, surely every college has a football team and every, college does tailgating. I was also a theater kid. And so the college I went to not only didn't have a football team, didn't have any kind of culture around sports, really. So yeah, thus, the only tailgating I've done is in my mind and in my dreams. So it is an honor to be here. Thank you for having me, as unexperienced as I am.
I also went to a school with a football team. I went to Cal. That we technically have a football team. Tailgating is non-existent there either. So I also expected the same thing. But I will say this. Sometimes you go to a school that is known for tailgating. You go to a place where you're like, this is going to be great. This is the home of tailgating. Dave Chang and I went to the Iron Bowl in Auburn, Alabama, expecting to just be blown away by the debaucherous keg stands and tailgating antics. And it was very tame. So it's not, it varies from place to place.
Interesting.
Darin, save us a little bit here. Are you a tailgater?
I've been to one tailgate. I went to US.
Who booked these people?
One of us.
Well, I mean, the few things. I went to Boston University.
That's where I went.
Oh.
Whoa.
No, don't clap for them.
So, yeah.
I went to culinary school.
Yeah, go
No, I mean,
Terriers.
I really only have two traditions. When I was going to Philadelphia Flyers games, my dad and I would go to McDonald's before. And then here for Dodger games, it's the shortstop. But it's really... I felt like I missed my window because I was at college. There was no tailgating. And then I went to New York and I just, I'd go to like when the Flyers would come up, say the Rangers, but no. But the USC one I went to was quite wild. Marching bands, drinking, all the shenanigans you would think at a pro tailgate school.
Avish, you said something quietly that you went to culinary school and not to one of these universities. Let me ask you this. If your culinary school had a sports team, what sport?
That's a great question.
What sport do you think they would play?
Sport?
Yeah. If culinary schools had a sports team that was going to try to compete with other universities, what do you think the sport would be?
Oh, lacrosse or some stupid
I'd say darts.
Darts?
Yeah.
That's not a competitive.
I
I was gonna
would
say knife
check
throwing.
with what's going on in the UK right now in competitive darts.
Sure. Okay.
Just feels a little farm to table lacrosse, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, so there are around 9 million results when you Google tailgate recipe, everything from pozole to pig shots to 6-alarm chili. I think we've sort of established some of the parameters here, something that is portable, can be prepared easily at the game, something that can be eaten standing up, maybe with just one hand, so your other hand's free for a brewski. Whatever Darin said about liquidity and
You know what I was getting at.
and then maybe, it should be it's not required, but some regional appropriateness would be nice. So with that, I feel like our table has been set and we can move into recipe reports. Okay. Recipe reports. Each of our 3 Recipe Club members has chosen a publicly available or soon to be publicly available recipe to take for a spin. This week's recipes come from Serious Eats, Once Upon a Chef, and JessPriles.com.
All-timer.
I don't know. I'm not super familiar, but we'll find out more in a second. Avish, Becky, and Darin brought the results of their investigative cooking here to the studio. They've got their dishes right in front of them. Everybody has tasted everything. Everybody has scored everything. Everybody has given me some comments to read here. So we're going to dive in with our first one. I'm going to go to the vet, Becky Joiner, Ravens fan. You're wearing
What?
it.
Just kidding.
Wearing your fan hood on your sleeve. You chose a, I guess, fitting recipe here. Authentic Maryland recipe for crab cakes from the brilliant minds at Once Upon a Chef, a website run by Jennifer Siegel, a native to Washington, D.C. I think I can guess why you chose this recipe, but tell us about it and how did it go?
I mean, everybody knows it. Maryland does 2 things, crab cakes and football. Maybe some other things. I don't know. There's
Can I
maybe
ask you,
politics
is that a
in
thing
there.
that you Marylanders would say before Wedding Crashers, or is that just
It sure is the thing we say now. Well, we used to say crab cakes, football, and lacrosse, but I'm actually glad that lacrosse isn't in there now because that's not cool. But no, I did choose it because crabs are very important in Maryland. We're right on the Chesapeake Bay, so the Chesapeake blue crab is the best crab. Don't at me. That's the only answer. No other crab is as good as it. And that I did not use Chesapeake blue crab, I should say. I couldn't source it this time of year.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, I couldn't source it. I wish I could. Normally, every summer my family would do a crab feast. It was a big thing, like our community or neighborhood would do like a big crab feast. You'd eat as many as you could. And then, maybe take one home in the car and don't tell your mom. But
take a crab home?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a couple questions before we proceed. Eat as many as you can. Mm-hmm. How many is that for you?
I mean, if they're like really nice sized, which I think are the female ones are the ones that are a little bit bigger, then maybe like 4 or 5. Mm-hmm. But, if it's a smaller one, maybe upwards of like 8 or 9.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. Crabs are not that fun to pick. I mean, it is like a communal experience, but you don't get a lot of yield from each one. You would think like, man, this thing's gonna be full of meat. And instead you crack that thing open, you're like, there's maybe a tiny bit in the middle. There's a decent amount in the legs. And that's like on a good day. Sometimes you open one, you're like, it's all guts. I'm like, I don't know how this happened. I'll still eat it, but like, I don't know why this one didn't have any meat. It didn't eat protein. It would be like if I was a crab.
Would you characterize yourself as amateur, semi-professional, professional, or all-star at eating crab?
I would say like semi-professional. I think I was on my way when I was still living in Maryland. As soon as I left, I mean, it all kind of like fell apart.
You had that career-ending injury. You hurt that thumb.
I started like getting my nails done, and then like I was getting cuts on my fingernails and whining like a little baby.
I was going to say, those nails you got there, those are not crab-friendly nails.
They're really not. You would think that they would be, because you're like, oh, they're long. They can like get into the crevices. It's not true.
Can I ask one thing? At what number crab do you stop picking the whole thing? What, like, do you start going like, I'm not going for the legs. I'm just going to start eating the 4 or 5?
I think if you're in public, if you're at like a communal crab feast, it's like 4 or 5. But if you're at home and you got a whole bushel, like you just keep going, because then you take all the crab meat that's left over and you freeze it.
Yeah.
But no, if you're trying to be like, respectful and also like, not embarrass yourself, like 4 or 5 is a good place to stop. Right. Unless you're really like.
But I'm saying, at what point do you start being like, I'm not going for the legs. I'm just going to go to the next one with the body and the meat and things like that.
You don't do that.
Yeah,
you just don't.
That's right. That's the right answer. That's the right answer. That's the right answer.
That's correct.
Yeah. No crabs left behind.
All right, tell us about this recipe. This touts itself as an authentic Maryland recipe. Can you Maryland? Is it Marylander? Is that the
Marylander.
Marylander. Marylander. What makes a Maryland crab cake? Is it just the fact that it is Chesapeake blue crab?
That's super important. That's arguably the most crucial part. I would say the next most important thing is that you want a good ratio of meat to binding. If it's too much breading, it's like done. That's not an authentic crab cake. It needs to basically be mostly meat, barely held together. Like that thing is gonna fall apart most likely. That's how you know you have a good crab cake.
So how is this recipe done? Did you make any changes? Walk us through it.
I thought this recipe was super legit. I spent a decent amount of time like looking around to see what was out there. And there were a couple that like came close, but this one I liked because it had the least amount of breadcrumb or binding to crab meat. So it was like a pound of crab to like a half cup of breadcrumbs and then 2 eggs, which I was like, felt like a good ratio. And then testing it out, I was like, yeah, this is exactly like what I would look for. My dad is like known for, he will go to any restaurant that has crab cakes and just get crab cakes. Even if he's not in the mood, he's like, I have to know if these are good crab cakes or not. It's honestly weird. We've tried to talk him out of it. It's usually it's disappointing for him.
I just have to assume that every dad in Maryland is known for their like taste in crab cakes, right?
Maybe.
What a stereotype.
Even off season.
Wow, Chris.
I mean,
yeah. I mean, he will, if it's on the menu still, he's like, this isn't a special. You guys just have it on here. Let's see about that. It's like a little bit of a, confrontational
Wait, he'll order
thing.
crab cakes that are not on the menu?
No. Only if they're on the menu.
Okay.
But that's where I'm like, if it's on the menu like year round, he's like, oh, is this blue crab you got frozen back there? Well,
Okay.
I'll try that. I'll have it.
Because I was going to say requesting crab cakes that are not on the menu. Maybe one of those dangerous things a human can undertake.
That would be incredibly bold.
So eggs, mayo, Dijon, Worcestershire, Old Bay, salt, celery.
I did not put celery in because here's my thing. Old Bay has celery salt. That's like its most like crucial ingredient, right? And then it has like red and black pepper and paprika. I felt like it was a little bit of overkill with like the celery on top. And she does say in the write-up, like you can omit it. It was just like a preference thing for her. I went through the comments just to see if anyone felt the same way I did. Most people were like, didn't do the celery, or I did it. And I didn't really feel like it added much. So that's like the one caveat. And the other small change I made is that I did Ritz cracker crumbs instead of panko. I love panko, no shade to that, but Ritz cracker is like, that's the thing they do in Maryland. So it just felt.
Okay, so Ritz crackers is the move.
Yeah.
We also, when you asked to do this recipe, I said, Becky can make her Maryland crab cakes, but I want it to be a realistic representation of a tailgate. So she's got to cook them on site, right? Avish, Darin brought things that you can make at home ostensibly, finish at the tailgate. And you agreed you were going to bring your portable griddle in, which I think is fair play. You can plug it into a car and griddle away. What ended up happening today?
This, if I was doing this super authentically, I probably wouldn't have tested the recipe out the night before, which is what I did last night. Just be like, make sure everything's good, everything's fine. The griddle was dead. It died. We'd had it for like 3 years. We'd only used it twice. Still not sure what happened. It was fine over the weekend. I was like, I'm going to make pancakes on this thing. I was like, isn't it great? We're finally getting use out of it. And then it was like, my purpose has been fulfilled. I'm gone. And so I was like, I was like, what do I do? And I was like, I have an air fryer. And like, I mean, honestly, we've used the griddle like camping. And so we have like a little like portable electric generator type thing, not like a giant like gas one, which I honestly was like, that would be kind of baller, right? If I showed up in here with like a gas generator and was just like,
Ringer and Spotify would be so mad.
I mean, I already made it smell like crab in here. I feel like I'm on the no-fly list. It's fine. I've accepted it.
I'm going to ask your fellow contestants here, Avish, Darin, are you going to accept the use of an air fryer as something you could potentially do at a tailgate?
I think it's happening today.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about that as soon as you said it. Like the kids are probably doing that. I can't say that.
Carry on.
The kids are probably doing that left right now. I'd pull up with an air fryer.
Yeah. Yeah. Not to have to deal with oil.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah.
I also love that you like put her through a cutthroat kitchen challenge to like
Yeah.
do that.
You said to us, bring whatever you want.
I was wondering about that. I was like, when are the other guys going to show up, and are we all going to be cooking using the same outlet?
No, I did a 5-hour slow roast just in the microwave.
He's been camped out in the parking lot. Okay, let's get into some of the feedback here. Oh, actually, before I get into that, you said you couldn't find Chesapeake crab. What did you end up using?
So at the grocery store, they have the like frozen but like real crab meat. It's like like right next to the section where you can get other like meats and things from the counter. So I did that because canned crab, even though I like it for some things, that's not the way to go with this.
Just as a little PSA to people out there who are buying crab meat, the sort of hierarchy of crab meat, you want to buy the jumbo lump, which comes from the body of the crab, or the back fin lump. And then there's regular and special, and then claw meat. Like that stuff that comes out of like the actual claw meat is the least desirable piece of the blue crab, I think. Like you want the lump stuff. So
it's true.
Let's get into some feedback here. I'll kick us off here. So you assembled your crab cakes into little sliders.
Little sliders for portability.
So I believe a King's Hawaiian roll.
Yes, King's Hawaiian roll, crab cake, tomato, lettuce, onion, ruffled potato chip for crunch, and then I also made a little thing I like to call Old Bayo. It's spicy mayo with Old Bay in it.
That's it. Spicy mayo with a little Old Bay. This Old Bay.
It's like it's basically this Old Bay.
This Old Bay.
This Old Bay. Yeah, it's a little bit of Kewpie, lemon juice. I did chili garlic paste, and then Old Bay.
I'm a big proponent of chips in sandwiches. This is
Same.
I can't think of a sandwich really that I would not think would be improved by the addition of potato chips, honestly.
Peanut butter and jelly with Cheetos? You kidding me?
Never mind. There's one. That is gross.
I shouldn't have said it.
I was very into that. I think the seasoning, the salt on this was great. I think that it was nice that you made a little sandwich for non-Marylanders, a little entry-level sandwich thing here. Darin, you loved the potato chip texture as well.
Loved it.
Nice.
You're a big
glad.
potato chip sandwich guy as well?
No, I'm not. Which is why every time it happens, it's a nice surprise. Good reminder.
You liked the crab to filler ratio here. Avish, you felt this was fresh.
Yeah.
lighter than the other two.
Yeah.
You're looking for a little lightness at the game. Sauce is great. You really liked it a lot.
Yeah, I thought the Old Bay was great. And
Thanks.
just it checks out all the ingredients that you put into it. It's stuff that I like on their own.
Nice.
Unanimous love for the potato chip
Absolutely.
in the sandwich. You were a little uncertain about the crab cake on its own. Say more.
It wasn't the best crab cake I've ever had in my life.
That's fair. It didn't have Chesapeake blue crab in it.
Yeah.
It was doomed to fail.
Don't give it so easily.
But it was good. I mean, I'm not. If I had, listen, there was a part on the card that says to critique it, so I did.
That's fair. I accept it.
Darin and Avish kind of had a similar comment. You, Avish, you thought the vegetables maybe cut into a slaw or something would have been better. I think, Darin, you had some sort of height, structural jaw issues.
Yeah.
It was tall.
It was tall.
It was
the
too
tallness
tall.
of the
Yeah.
sandwiches.
Start calling them tall boys.
Say more about this critique. You don't know how sporty it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'd never pulled up to a game, and there's like crab cake sliders. It feels like some. If I was gonna ask, it was from a place like Maine, but I didn't know if we were allowed to talk when we were critiquing either. So I was just like, okay, cool.
That's fair. No,
But I like it. I'd still crush it if I was drunk. I'm eating whatever's inside.
And you know what? That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Because the tailgates I've never been to, we're all drunk.
Yeah.
And eating whatever's there, right?
I mean, Avish, you did ask this question, and this is a very good question. Do they eat crab cakes at Baltimore Ravens games? Is this a thing?
At all 0 of the ones I've been to, yes.
Maybe at Boston University.
Yeah.
This is a Boston
Yeah,
University
Darin,
thing for
we'd
sure.
crush these.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Right in the George Marsh Plaza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was on Com Ave, just crushing
Oh, yeah.
crab cakes.
Just crushing crab cakes down Com Ave.
Just on the tee.
Yeah.
Hey, this is
Yeah.
going a
Oh,
little
yeah.
off
On
the
the tee, on the Charles River.
Okay. What is
river walk.
What do you guys have a mascot?
Terriers. Go Terriers.
Yeah, Rhett the bull. What is he?
I said a terrier.
One of you thinks it's a bull, and one of you thinks it's
No,
a terrier.
He's not a
terriers.
bull. He's a terrier.
We're
but
moving on.
He's some kind of terrier.
Darin, you and I
Boston
had okay. No more Boston, whatever university talk here. I thought that the sandwich was nice. However, and this runs into something Darin said as well. I think you kind of kid gloved us a little bit here with the sandwich.
What?
I feel like would a real Marylander eat a crab cake and a sandwich, or they just eat it pure?
They'd probably eat it pure.
Yeah,
That's true.
You kid
But
gloved
that's
a little
not
bit.
Probably would have used a
portable.
griddle too.
Probably would.
I don't know.
Probably
I feel like I would.
got another griddle.
If you put a crab cake with some dipping sauce on a plate, and just pick that up and just have a napkin ready.
That's true. That is true. I think I was thinking about it from the perspective of if you're trying to like walk around and do things, you want a beer in this hand, you want to have a free hand to maybe throw a football around because they do that at tailgates.
Here,
you know,
let me say, according to you,
I'm creating I'm manifesting what I would like it to be.
Here's how I'll respond to that.
Yeah.
I thought maybe these were too small. However, if you had just served this crab cake at that size, I solve your football problem by just one biting this crab cake and going and throwing the old pigskin around.
Little crab bites with a little pigskin action. That's classic tailgating behavior.
100%.
Once again,
100% tailgating behavior.
100%.
Non-tailgater. Okay, well, overall, I think everybody was very happy with this. Do you think it was, recipe-wise, an authentic Maryland crab cake as advertised?
I do, honestly. And I think if this was with some real Chesapeake blue crab, it would slap. I really think that. And I sent it to my little brother because he likes to cook a lot. And I was like, what do you think of this recipe? He was like, yeah, sure.
Oh, I thought you sent him a crab cake. And I was thinking,
He hasn't received it yet.
Also very dangerous.
UPS, the earliest I could do is 2 days from now.
Okay, so with that, we've got 2 more to go, which we will get to right after this very important break. Okay, so time for our second recipe report. This one from Avish. You chose a Texan Frito Pie courtesy of JessPryles.com, who is a cook, author, meat specialist. I believe possesses a graduate degree in meat science. I can't tell if this was a real thing or not. Jess? congratulations. The Frito pie is something that has been around for quite a while. I thought this was a relatively new invention, but it turns out this is a longstanding tradition in Texas and the Southwest. Basically, you cut open a bag of Fritos, you fill it with chili and toppings. Related to the walking taco, I believe, is a cousin or maybe another name for this thing. Avish, tell us about the Frito pie.
I love Frito pies. Whenever I have a Frito pie, I feel cool. I think we just...
You should, because you are, whenever you have one.
Thank you. I think just the whole medium of like chips in a bag and then like throwing stuff on them to make them, a little bit different. It's just great. There's a lot of stuff on TikTok with the kids, you're pulling up with a bag and like those like Euro folks or gyro folks or whatever your audience calls them. They're just like throwing like all those like souvlaki stuffs on them and stuff like that. And we've even done a dish like this, like when like Pijja Palace is at, when you do the dumb things and the festivals and they call you to do some stuff, we'll cut open up a bag and do like a Chute version. We'll throw a bunch of like, mint chutney and tamarind chutney and like
into
potatoes.
Fritos specifically?
We use Lay's.
It's
but
fantastic.
I think it tastes. Oh,
You did it.
Yeah.
At the
We
event we did together. Yeah.
Oh, that one. Did we do it?
Yeah. Lay's and it's amazing.
Wait, so Lay's mint chutney. I mean, I want you to talk about this Frito pie, but I want you to tell me more about this one
Yeah.
first.
Yeah. Well, Chute is like a snacky food in India, and it just felt like it would fit into the bag medium, and then so we did it. I just love these things. I think that they're humble and tasty and. Yeah.
Well, it really does follow that Chute pattern of something saucy on something crunchy with something cool and, onion on top or whatever. Like there's any number of Chute that sort of resemble this. So like I see that for sure. Walk us through how this recipe in particular was made. Did you make any adjustments? What do you think about this recipe?
Yeah. Recipe felt like a pretty standard, like chili off the back of a box style recipe. I also spent a lot of time like thinking about Rotel after I was making this because like it's
What is Rotel for those who don't know?
It's like a canned chilies and tomatoes. It's like two separate canned products mixed together that has its own name. I just don't even understand how they made a whole business out of this. I would love to do that.
Yeah, the fire roasted tomatoes and chilies is the best. It goes with everything.
Yes, that is true. However, I do think there is something to what you're suggesting here. Avish, we could start a bit. All we need to do is take two existing canned products, combine them, sell them with a new name. What two existing canned products could we take, combine, and just spin off into its own thing?
I don't know. Bring that canned chicken lady back from a couple of
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Is that what you use today?
Yes. It is. Just it's canned canned chicken.
We just have some canned chicken and canned baby corn, and we combine them together, and we got a new product.
Oh, you could do corn and black beans.
That's what I was thinking for enchiladas.
I think they do
Easy
sell
filling.
corn and
Called
black beans.
Southwest, but
Yeah.
different language.
Yeah.
So Rotel's in there.
Yeah, Rotel's in there. It's pretty standard build, right? Like sear the meat, put the meat aside, get all your veggies in, brown those, put the meat back inside, all the spices go in, let it toast, get all the liquid in there, and then leave it to go for an hour. I couldn't find Lone Star beer, so there's a Corona in there, and then I think it needed a pickle element, so I just ChatGPT'd a recipe. And then that's that.
What was your prompt for ChatGPT?
Well, I didn't know what those like Mexican pickles from the taqueria were called.
Like the escabeche.
Yeah, but I didn't know what that was called.
So you said what? You said,
yo, how do I get those Mexican pickles? I was at the grocery store already doing it. I was like, yo, I think it'd be good with this. And I know that they do like in other parts of the country, they'll throw like raw onions and like sometimes they'll do pickled jalapenos and stuff. So I just ChatGPT'd a quick recipe. I think it checked out. And then just a little bit of cheese on top. Honestly, I probably would have gone slightly more crazy. Like if I had done one of these before, I didn't know how you guys were going to pull up. Oh. So I didn't want to go too crazy. So I probably would have done like, a little crema action, sour cream or whatever, because I like that.
You could have gone so crazy for us. It would have been fine. It was so delicious.
I appreciate it.
some self-conscious Tailgating. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Let's get into some of the notes here. Becky, you found presentation to be 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10, hands down.
You loved the pickled veg. You can think.
Thanks, ChatGPT.
Shout out.
I'm fine with it. Let that be the last time we thank ChatGPT on this show, please. Let that be
The
the
only time
last.
that's ever come out of my mouth.
Let that be the last expression of gratitude to the AI overlords. Great flavor. Would have loved if it was more mixed together. I think you could have accomplished that, though, couldn't you, Becky? I don't know if that's Avish's fault.
Every time I come here, the criticisms are self-criticisms, and I'm sorry.
You loved it? You loved That was a 3-layer deep meta self-criticism. You love a Frito pie. This is your favorite. I also love the pickled veg in there. I think the underrated move you made here was the side slice on the bag. So you didn't sort of open the bag from the top in the traditional way. You went sideways for more easier access.
Absolutely.
I couldn't put it down. It's a great snack. My criticism, could not put it down. You can't put this anywhere. So what I appreciate about that is if you're in a potluck situation or something, nobody can walk away from yours. This comes with me wherever I go. The beer, you pick Corona. I was wondering, there's like a little bit of bitterness to the chili. I think it was that Corona was what it was. I agree. Like the chili was, it's like a standard. There's nothing crazy special about it. As you talked about it, I without a doubt in my mind, I think the one of your own creation, the sort of Pijja version that's more of a chot, would have been insane. Yeah,
it's insane. I can attest.
I can't stop thinking about that one now. You know, I know you're supposed to love the one you're with, but I want to be with that other one. Darin, you thought the presentation was out of control.
I mean, I think Frito pie is the number one with a bullet snack in a bag, at least in America. Mm-hmm. You know, once you get out of the world, I can't speak on all that, but that's top.
You thought the chili had the right amount of saltiness, sweetness. You love the mountain of cheese that was in there. You, like Becky, found it hard to get everything in one bite. You wanted to be more mixed together. Once again, I got to point to user error.
No, here's the thing. You can't actually pre-mix it because then the chips get soggy. But again, we had to put criticism, so I was reaching.
You could though. This is the only thing I was thinking. You could do the chips, and then you do a layer of the meat, and then a layer of the cheese, and then another layer of meat, and another layer of cheese, and then you can.
Yeah. But then he's got to pour the chips out, right?
Well,
and then
he's going. I mean, climb a mountain.
You wanted more toppings.
I did. I ran out of toppings before chips.
Got you. That was probably my fault.
Fantastic and fun.
Yeah.
Your question was, would you be open to less Fritos and more chili, or is that unacceptable to you?
No, I didn't. I did not care. I was just like scooping and like, I kind of like fast food workered that whole operation, like Chipotle, like.
I agree. I think I got a lot of chili. Maybe you didn't get very much chili. There are some consistency issues here. Overall, though, I think the Frito pie, very, very smart, whether you follow this recipe or not. I think we should endeavor to nab your other recipe and share that with our friends, if you're up for that.
Yeah.
Okay, that is 2 recipe reports down. We have 1 more to go. So, next up to the plate.
Yes.
Host of Snacky Tunes, Eagles fan, although he's repping the Dodgers today.
Couldn't pick which champion hat to wear.
That's a great pun, by the way. I don't think we can let that slide.
Appreciate that. Appreciate anybody out there. You chose, Darin, easy oven cooked pulled pork from Serious Eats, none other than Recipe Club perennial favorite Kenji Lopez Alt's recipe. The pulled pork is as American as it gets, I think. Mm-hmm. The tradition of open pit barbecue in the Carolinas or pulled pork in Memphis or Alabama. The flavors here, we're talking about the sort of sweet, sour, tangy barbecue sauce version of pulled pork is is truly American, right? It's part indigenous, part black, part European, everything, all these influences into this dish. So I think it's a fine choice as an American tailgate food. But what do you think? And what do you think about this recipe?
I loved it. I picked it because one of the first long cooks I ever did was the Momofuku Bosom from when the book came out, and I was living in Brooklyn. And so when I saw this as an option, I was like, oh, I'll run it back. I really enjoyed it. I omitted a couple things. I didn't do liquid smoke. I've never been a fan of it. I didn't smoke it, and I'm not about to bring that flavor in there. And then cayenne, only because I think heat level, especially at like a tailgate, is a really tricky thing. And then I swapped out the apple cider vinegar for rice vinegar, and then I add a fish sauce as well, which I just add to everything. Shout out Kong Redboat, because it's the number one.
Lots of shout outs.
Yeah. And then I use
ChatGPT.
And then I used more chicken stock for braising liquid, because I think sometimes I've done it from mistakes where, especially in that final hour when you take the lid off, I was like, this is going to burn if I don't add more liquid. And then to open it back up when I heated it. But I loved it. I mean, Kenji writes really easy to follow recipes, and I know that it's been tested within millimeter of its life. And then also with these things, it's like I did the whole thing. Like I did the dry rub the day before, and then I did the whole cook. And it's just, it's if you're gonna do something that takes 5 hours to cook, might as well do it correctly. I loved it, and I followed the proportions of the dry rub and the liquids to a T, because I always am not as confident with sauce ratios and dry rub ratios. And I also, again, knowing that he had perfected those ratios was great. And so it was great. It's fun,
So basically for this recipe, you are rubbing it with sugar, salt, paprika, cumin, pepper, coriander, a bunch of dry rub spices.
Dry rubs. And then I wrapped it in saran wrap 24 hours before, put it in the fridge.
Sear it in the Dutch oven.
And I did a hash cut on the fat so it would render more evenly.
And then he has you in this recipe sort of flambe, if you will, some bourbon.
I did it. And, I got the long matches, and I still almost took my hand off. But I did it. And sure. I'm sure it made a difference.
You did it. And then you sort of cook it with essentially like a loose barbecue sauce of ketchup, molasses, vinegar, Worcestershire.
Carolina-based.
Carolina-ish sauce. And it's around a 4-hour cook.
Yep.
Skim off the fat.
No. So the way that I did it is that I just took the lid off, added more stock, and then I took it out because it just would have been too hard to get the fat. I actually had to decant the sauce into a smaller bowl. And this is the first time I've actually taken any fat out of a long braise like this. Because normally when I put it in, the sauce it congeals. The sauce didn't congeal. And it was great. And it's not oily, and it's much lighter. And from now on, I'm actually going to take, when I really saw how much oil and rendered fat there was, it was a cup, maybe a cup and a half. So there's almost no liquid fat in there.
Mm-hmm. And the part I really did appreciate about this recipe, Kenji lays it out in the sort of head note where we're not talking about the pulled pork I was talking about, like the Carolina tradition or the Memphis tradition of smoking
like a Rodney Scott type
meat. This is a different beast entirely. This is a stovetop, crock pot, Dutch oven style thing without the benefit of all that wood, which is delicious. I prefer, obviously, if somebody's going to smoke a piece of meat, that's my preference. I think it's interesting. You drew a line in the sand and said, I'm not smoking this. I'm not going to add liquid smoke.
Yeah. To your point, I have a lot of respect for people who really take the time to do barbecue and do it properly. I don't really even understand the existence of liquid smoke. I've never understood it. It makes no sense. So I would never use it. And I would question people who did. I'm just saying, if someone can find me an actual reason why they want to do it other than just to mimic a way they didn't cook it, okay. I've had oven ribs. I don't miss the smoke on those.
Let's get into some feedback from your fellow club members here. I'll go first. I like this. I appreciated that it was not cloying. It wasn't just the sort of, no offense to bottled barbecue sauces, but it wasn't just that sort of over the top sweetness.
There was one tip he did, which I wouldn't have done if he said it. When you freeze or keep it overnight before you serve it, you actually don't mix the sauce in. And so the meat sits separately and the sauce sits separately. And I think that helps it from being so like gummy and cloying.
I agree with your decision to leave the liquid smoke out. I've never seen liquid smoke in nature. I'm not going to put it in my mouth. Well seasoned.
Thank you.
Let's see. Avish, great flavor.
Yeah.
It looks dry, but it was moist. He appreciates the trompe l'oeil.
Yeah.
Just, and you love the crispy bits. You got some little...
Got a little crispy bits in there.
Yeah. Kept them in.
Becky, great flavor.
Yeah. That was the one I was going to say if you hadn't found my card.
Appreciate it.
Smart recipe pick. Held up really nicely. Not too dry or overdone. Really good. You didn't know if it needs the rolls.
That was my only thing.
You just wanted to eat a pile of pulled pork.
I mean, honestly, yeah, I could. I was at one point. I was just kind of digging
But that's
in
why
there.
I put it on the side. User's choice.
No, I did it again. Don't read my criticisms.
You
Just
thought
give
it was
them to my therapist.
I mean, you thought it was a little too sweet.
Yeah, but that's just probably like a brown person thing. Like we don't have too much sweet stuff at home, and like culturally, like I would have probably went far beyond the cayenne limiter.
Oh yeah. I mean, I didn't put any heat in there,
Yeah.
and it's brown sugar rub and dark molasses in the
Yeah.
sauce.
I mean, you and I have the same other critique, although you you articulated it better than I did. I just thought visually. I
didn't go to
I said
college.
visually ... Avish says, looks like a pile of shit,
Yeah. I mean,
but so does my dish.
sure. I don't know a way around it.
Fair. I think a lot of tailgate food kind of looks a little
I
bit
mean, I
like
did-
brown.
Le Creuset, hoping that it would mask it, but it didn't. It just like someone took a dump in a Le Creuset.
I will say this. I think that, how long did you cook this meat?
5 hours. I did 4 hours covered, and then fifth hour uncovered, and then I had to reheat it and everything right before I came over here.
I think it could have used less time. I think that, but
Yeah.
it might be personal preference. I like pulled pork where it's like a little chunkier, it's a little bit
Sure.
more meaty. This was, I mean, I think this is the standard. Like people like fully shredded, super soft meat.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I hadn't done bone-in pork for a long time, and so I couldn't add in any like the cooking tricks that I normally do. I probably could have shredded it less, but I just followed the recipe to the way that he did it. But yeah, I get it.
Would you like to, you said it's at your option to eat it with the roll or just as Becky wanted, just with a spoon.
I mean, I did it both. I ate it straight, and then I was like, oh, I put a roll down. Let's put it on a roll. So, I mean, I skipped lunch, so I was pretty hungry.
Becky found it to be as good as your favorite hometown barbecue spot.
Shout out Urban Barbecue in Rockville, Maryland. I don't know if they're open anymore. Shout out.
None of these shout outs are making in the show.
It's just bleeped, all bleeped.
Avish, pretty sound. I think this is the 85 to 90th percentile of all pulled porks in a stovetop.
We went for something that people, I mean, again, this is a Kenji recipe. And if Kenji is going to say, I'm going to make what you would consider a home style pulled pork type of dish, and this is what you have in your mind, this is what you get.
Let me ask you this. When you brought it, did you cook this today or yesterday?
I cooked it yesterday, and then when I reheated it, I opened it back up with extra chicken stock because it was like really tight. The sauce was so concentrated. So I just kept adding more chicken stock until I got to the, so it was saucy. The liquidity that I mentioned before was there, but not over, so that it would be a mess.
So your pork is like not over invested in the markets or in crypto or anything. It's just
No, man,
pretty liquid.
it dumped its Dogecoin, and now it's pretty out there.
Let me ask both of you and Avish, I didn't ask you this. What would we saw Becky, I forced her into this cutthroat kitchen challenge of cooking it here. Both of you arrived with, yours was already warm, Darin, and you just sort of assembled it. Avish, you reheated yours in our little, I'm going to call it a kitchenette. It's also known as a hallway over there. What would your game time actual tailgate strategy have been if you were to make this and bring it and try to serve it hot at a game?
Probably would have pulled up like with a crock pot and then just, assembly lined it. I think that's probably the easiest way to do it. It's how we've done the chot in the past.
Same for you, Darin.
Yeah, I mean, probably similar approach of heating it before. I heated up the Le Creuset as well so that it would stay hot. I mean, it was still steaming when I got here. So I think this is something that, since I didn't do it in a crock pot, I just would heat it the exact same way. But that means I'm serving it in an hour or less from when I'm leaving my house. Yeah. And then I put it in an insulated bag.
Okay. The last thing I say, you definitely do taste that bourbon flambe situation happening. It definitely adds thing.
It's just one of those things where it was in the recipe, so I did it, but it wasn't anything more than like, I actually did take the pork out. Before I didn't flambe the pork in.
Okay.
I did a lot of, I also cooked the onions without the pork in there because I thought that it just wouldn't work. So I did a lot more piecemeal, which means just more time. But again, if you're gonna put in a 5-hour cook, really take the time and all the prep and doing it, because those early steps, let's say you burn the onions or you burn the pork, it's just gonna continue through and you've just wasted it.
Are you the type of person who would, you invested 5 hours in making this at home, would you have invested the same amount of time in showing up 5 hours early for the game and smoking it by the side of your car?
Yeah. I mean, if that's what this was, where it was you need to come and cook day of, I would have been here at 7 a.m.
You would have tailgated Recipe Club.
Sure, why not? That's the game, right?
Yeah, that's what this whole episode was about.
I think cooking something at home for 6 hours for a 1 hour podcast is still a lot of commitment.
Let's move into our closing arguments. Becky, I'm going to come back to you.
Okay.
It's time for the tailgate. This weekend, all your buddies are getting together. We're going to stand around the parking lot. Your dreams are coming true, Becky. You're going to your first tailgate. Why should somebody be making authentic Maryland crab cakes from onceuponachef.com?
Because, first of all, it's a great blog name. Can't question that. Second of all, it's the regionality that you spoke of earlier. It's important. You got to stay true to your roots. You got to represent your team. And maybe you're not from Maryland. Maybe you're from Seattle, and you're like, let's do salmon. You could put salmon in there. It's versatile. You could put any meat really that you want in there, but probably fish is best because of the other things that are in it. And then all you would need is a plug. You can make friends, because that's the whole point of a tailgate. I've heard you make friends, and that's how you get power. Or you find me, and I have my little weird electric battery thing, and then you plug in your air fryer, and then you've got fresh hot food. Why are you still laughing? You got fresh hot food and you can customize it down the line and make even more friends.
I'm laughing
Was there a
because
time limit on
I
that?
very much appreciate the shotgun method to making your case. I agree with some of those things.
Most.
I don't think you can be you can put any meat in this. That's why it's a good recipe.
No,
That's
salmon
not
cake.
true.
Come on.
No, I walked it back.
Walk back that salmon cake.
I won't walk back the salmon cake. I'm not mad at a salmon cake. I'll have a salmon cake.
And then,
You just got to season it right.
Avish, you're going to a tailgate, which you've been to before. Our listeners are going to be joining you there. They're like, oh man, what should we make? Why should they be making classic Texan Frito pie, according to JessPryles.com?
First, Jess, she's got the PhD in meat science. That checks out for sure. It's an easy pickup. You don't really need to do much to it. You don't have scissors to open up the bag. Screw it, open it yourself. It's easy to do. Honestly, there's probably 7 other places to get this in the stadium, but it's cooler. It's cooler outside.
No, make the money case.
Yeah. Again, I know I said I was going to pay $35 for a hot dog and a beer inside the stadium, but that was a lie. And this is the truth. Yeah, it's just, it's an easy thing to do. Everything tastes good all together. It's seasoned for you already, kind of. If you don't bring salt or salt anything, just mix it up in a bag.
Mix it up.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's
Our
great.
one mistake.
I love it.
It uses the salt from the chips.
Yeah.
That is smart. That is true.
It's hard to mess up.
Darin, it's time. It's tailgating time. I'm going to that Flyers game.
Yeah.
The Flyers tailgate?
I don't know, man. They've been so bad for so long. It's real tough. It's real tough to be an East Coast hockey fan when your team is at the bottom because it starts at like 4 p.m. and it's a real tough way to end the day.
All right, so it's not a Flyers game. I'm strutting my way out to the first game of the Eagles season. Fresh
Go
off
Birds.
a victory here. Feeling good about myself, ready to start the season off right in the parking lot. Why am I making Serious Eats easy oven cooked pulled pork?
Well, listen, it goes back to what I said at the top. It's about coming together with friends, and you know that if I made this, I was thinking about you 2 days before and about you enjoying it, and I put a lot of love and a lot of time into it. And most people, myself included, do not make 6-hour cooks on like a regular basis. So, love for the game and all the ways, real home run and easy to eat. I don't know. Championship dish, go Birds.
I mean,
Strong end.
You and Becky probably took the same debate class at Boston University here. Just say a bunch of phrases. What?
I mean,
Listen, I wasn't smart enough to seed early with the whole, I'm going to pay this much money.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. That was so smart, by
I
the
know.
way. He tricked us all.
I'm pretty
like, I don't even know
sure
what's
I
happening.
tied it back to friendship and time and
he
speaking
did.
to people.
You
So
most-
He used the
certainly
love
did.
angle, which is the most important one. Friendship and love.
I mean, honestly, if you got a couple tortillas and threw that on there, that wouldn't be bad
Dude,
either.
it would be so good. Turn that into
To
a
be
quesadilla.
honest, I ran out of chili, and I threw that in the Frito bag.
Yes.
I also
So real
Sounds like it'd be-
combo.
Yeah. And that's what we need to put in a can.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what you put in the
Oh,
can.
there it is. We found it.
There we found it.
We found
Oh
our
my
product.
gosh.
Don't take that.
Chili and pulled pork in a can.
Yeah, that's ours.
That's ours. That's ours.
Nobody take
Especially with flavors that don't talk to each other at all.
Nobody
Mix it
take
together.
pig slop. That's
Yeah.
the name of our new product. So, for the first time, I think ever in this season of Recipe Club, we are approaching a part that actually makes sense for the theme. It's tailgating. There's got to be a score. There's got to be a winner.
Sure.
We're talking about sports here.
true.
And that moment is upon us. After this quick break, you're going to find out the winner. And I'm going to give you your to-go orders, 3 takeaways for a great tailgate recipe. All right, we are back. Before I announce the winner of today's episode of Recipe Club, I've got to give you your to-go orders, 3 takeaways for a great tailgate recipe. As Avish pointed out, a great tailgate recipe is something that is easy to stand up and hold in one hand and eat as you are hanging out in a parking lot, shooting the breeze, talking about the hopes and dreams for the season, as Darin was talking about. Portability in terms of the dish itself is big for a tailgate recipe, whether it is, hey, I'm going to bring my air fryer and plug it into the back of the car, or I can insulate this, bring it hot, get it there in a crock pot and just scoop and serve it. That is a big plus. Not to say that nobody should bring their grills and smokers and things to the game, but for ease and simplicity, I really like that as a tip. And finally, as Becky showed with her on-theme Maryland crab cakes, I do think I'm going to say your third to-go order is something that feels thematically appropriate, something that is regionally relevant, even if only in your mind, is always fun. So, with all of that said, we have arrived at the time for the game to actually start. It wasn't just hanging out in the parking lot, guys. There was an important game to be played here. And so we have taken all of the scores that you each gave one another for your respective dishes. You graded the opponent's dishes on a scale of 0 to 5.0. We averaged those out to give us one score. Then I asked the producers in the booth, all amateur cooks, to give me an unbiased rating of which recipe sounded the most interesting to them, the one that they might actually go home and make the next time they go to a tailgate. And finally, I'm adding my own score for the creativity and thoughtfulness with which you each approach the task of cooking a tailgate recipe. So, without further ado, the winner in the deliciousness category, as scored by our Recipe Club members here with a very high score of 4.58, is Avish for your Frito pie.
Thank you.
Let's please hold our applause for all the awards. The producers awarded Avish as well for the recipe they were most likely to make for their next tailgate.
So lazy ass producers.
lazy producers in there. And finally, in terms of thoughtfulness, this was a tight one for me. Everyone had really interesting things and reasons for what they did here, but literally because he said it was a demonstration of the thought he had for his friends. I don't know if he knew that this was going to come into play. Darin, I'm going to give you the thoughtfulness category today.
Thank you.
So now we've taken all three of these scores, we've tallied them up to give us one total score. And winning this week's episode of Recipe Club Tailgate Edition with a total score of 12.65 is none other than Avish Naran.
Yeah.
And your Frito pie.
Thank you.
Well
Congratulations, Avish. First time out, 1-0.
Appreciate it.
You are not just going home with the sparkling undefeated record of 1 win and 0 losses.
I'm never coming back.
You're not because he doesn't like it. He loves it.
Yeah, I love it. Forget BU. No, I'm just kidding.
Whoa!
It's fine.
I'll be
It's
cool
fine.
of each.
You're also taking home a fantastic prize. This is following suit with the theme this year on Recipe Club. This is a custom made, one of a kind prize that we have concocted here. It is a deluxe tailgating camping chair, custom printed with the Recipe Club logo. It says Recipe Club on it. I told the producers I was going to make this promise to the winner.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much.
It's a chair that
Thank
says
you.
Recipe Club on the front. Here was my problem, and I'm happy to correct this before you take this home. I really think that if you're sitting in this chair, people will not know what kind of a winner you are because you're covering this up. If you like, before we send you home with this, we would be willing to add winner to the back of that chair.
Yeah, you should do that.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure
Yeah,
people know.
absolutely.
Okay, so we will add winner. Sorry, Molly, I know that's gonna fall on you. Of course, Becky and Darin. Nobody leaves Recipe Club empty-handed, courtesy of our official cookware sponsor, Meyer. You're each getting a piece of IO series cookware to take home. Becky, I know we've given you one of these in the past.
Not this specific one.
That's a new one
This
for
is
you.
a new one.
Very cool.
This is good. This is good stuff. This is the stuff that Dave and I cook with at home all the time. So enjoy, everybody. Thank you, Darin, Becky, and Avish, for joining us on this episode of Recipe Club. And thanks to all of you out there for listening along all season long. Recipe Club is brought to you by Majordomo Media and The Ringer. Visit majordomo.com to join the Discord, where I keep on promising you can complain about the show, and you guys are living up to that promise.
Yeah.
So really appreciate you all. Thanks again, and we will see you all very soon.